When watching the game, I thought the players looked like they had their stress balls when they was actually on the pitch, didn't they? Because we've got to be perfectly honest, it was nervy, and it's going to be like that from now to the rest of the season, because every game is a cup final. I'm not bothered how we play. If we win, I don't really care. Do you know what I mean? It's just chalk that one off, move on to the next one. Chelsea were probably arguably a better side, you know, had the sort of created the better chances. But if you're not playing well, when you want to win the title, you have to see these games out, and you have to make sure that we can't afford to draw. Do you know what I mean? Where we was a little bit bitty against, obviously, Liverpool, where it got nervy in the second half, lost against Man. This one is like, no, we get ourselves over the line. And trust me, the players will take more confidence from winning a game like this than if you blitz a team like 3-4-0. Because really? You'll look around and you'll think, do you know what, yeah, we've found a way to win it. And it's exactly what we've done. And I don't care if we're called set-piece FC. Don't really bother me. That's like saying Chicago Bulls can only score slam dunks. Do you know what I mean? They don't score enough three-pointers. It's like, who cares? Not really bothered. And when we get corners, you can tell that every other team we play against, they get nervous and they get stressed. Do you know what I mean? So that actually helps us out. So keep bringing on the set-piece FC.
Yeah, you can tell that Perry's an ex-player. Yeah. I'm looking forward to getting Harry and CJ's take on this. Harry, how did you fare? I mean, you were working at the game, and so you have to not only be professional and hold it down in that sense, but you're also a fan. So how was that?
I'm still a mess, whether I'm working or not. I'm still an emotional wreck during these games because, yes, Perry's right in that, like, you know, we've got to settle down a little bit, and it's very easy to say, I think, you know, you've got to manage your emotions a little bit better. You know, there's a lot of expectation of the crowd. Can the crowd do their bit and stuff? But I think when you're in that moment, sometimes it's really difficult. And ultimately, that just stems back to the fact that we all desperately want this so badly. You know, there's Arsenal fans, there's a generation of Arsenal fans that have never seen us win the Premier League. They've never experienced it. And so for them especially, you know, there isn't that experience of having been through it. There isn't that you know, that feeling of what it's like when you get to this stage. Invariably in recent years, when it's got to this point, we've not been able to maintain the level that we needed. So there is going to be nervousness. I'm not sure I can do another 9 league games of this, to be honest with you. I sort of joked yesterday that I'll be bored by the end of the season. It could happen.
Nothing wrong with that. Hair's very
nothing wrong with it, but it wasn't what I was planning on.
CJ, what about yourself, my friend?
Oh, man, now that we've had time to kind of calm down, you know, you'll always take the result over the performance. I do think there was nerves from the players, naturally from the fans. As Perry said, and Harry have alluded to, every game's a cup final, innit? There's going to be games on knife edge. If I'm honest, I think it was a bit of an average performance from us. I think we had to box smartly. Second half, I did think it was going to go away from us. But at the end of the day, you know, corner boys were in the building. We scored the goals. We managed the boxes effectively. 2 London derbies on the spin now. And we move forward to the next games, man. So I'm a happy lad.
Yeah. Well, after going 1-0 up, Perry, I kind of thought we'd turn the screw a bit, but it's not how it transpired.
Yeah, I'd say I don't think we were as passive as the games that I mentioned before. But I wanted our philosophy to be that we're going to go on the front foot, like we did against Spurs away. But the thing is, when you're playing in away grounds, there's not as much pressure on you. Do you know what I mean? We talked about the atmosphere before, didn't we? At the top, it was electric, and the players fed off that. So when we went 1-0 up, you say, right, I want you to go on the front foot. But then you have to give Chelsea some credit because they are a good team. We'll talk about, obviously, their inexperience because they're a young side, but they're a good side. And they were... The thing that I was getting frustrated was they came to press. It wasn't like in the second leg semi-final where they came and sat and like the mid-block, low-block, whatever. And we still, in the first half, had the propensity to go Saliba to Gabriel, out to Timber, back into Saliba, back to Gabriel, back, and we kept possession, but we was going backwards. We was actually starting off near the halfway line, and then you go back, didn't you? And Declan Rice is trying to get an Zuber, then you go back to David Raya, and then as brilliant was in the ball, everybody gets like, oh, it's gone back to goalkeeper. Because I'm a generation, I'm like, the goalkeeper's got it.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? So I wanted us to go longer, quicker. I wanted us, and I know sometimes you might give the ball away, but what happens is, if you go longer and you go in the channels or you go into Gyökeres, you might have a bit of a knockdown, or he tries to hold it up and there's a bit of a 50-50, and you might pick up the knockdowns. So I just wanted us to go longer, quicker, just to mix it up a little bit. But say we tried to go what you saw like the horseshoe all the time, where sometimes you've got to go centrally. So that's what I wanted to do, just a little bit quicker.
Yeah, just on the performance, the bit where we sort of suffered at the start of the second half, I wasn't that annoyed about that, because I'm looking at it and I'm going, you know what, as Arsenal people, it's our natural inclination to go, what are we doing wrong here? And we can overanalyze it to a point. And actually what you have to do is say, Chelsea scored just before half-time, in the ascendancy, full of confidence, got a lot of talented players in that group. And they played really well at that point. I guess where my frustration with the performance kicked in was after the Neto red card. Because at that point, I think momentum's completely swung back the other way. We're 2-1 up, they're down to 10 men. Now play our game. And it felt to me like we just sunk deeper and deeper. We invited a little bit of pressure. Then we tried to squeeze back up because Mikel was on the sidelines urging them to get up. You know, get up. It's not, when people say that he's telling them to drop off, he's not. He's signalling the opposite all of the time. But then you start leaving spaces in behind and you're worried about what they can do to you in behind. And there was a couple of moments David Raya had to step up. And listen, we've been saying it for a while. If we're going to win this thing, we need our individuals to step up in the big moments. And yesterday it was the defensive players more than anybody else. But as long as you get those individual performances and those moments go your way, then we'll be fine. We'll be fine. But it's just...
It's a weird one, CJ, though, isn't it? Because, you know, they go down to 10. And when that happens, I don't know about you three, but immediately I was like, well, that's it. I know you can never take anything for granted in football, but, like, we've been so good at the back. I just thought, look, you know, and we did, hindsight is a wonderful thing. I know we did win in the end. But I just thought we would control the game and we just couldn't seem to keep hold of the ball. Every time we had it, we would play a sloppy pass or do something silly. Give Chelsea a bit of credit. They carried on pressing. They carried on playing in a similar manner to when they had 11 players on the pitch. But it frustrated me a bit that we just didn't see the game out because that would have sent a bit of a message. Football's not only about, obviously it is only about winning and getting the 3 points, but also I like to send messages because this Arsenal team at the minute, people still think we're a little bit fragile.
I think, Nick, isolated to obviously that game, and I just think generally with a lot of performances this season, we haven't really been at our sparkling best for 90 minutes. Like Newcastle comes to mind. There's probably another one on that kind of topic. So I understand them frustrations. But it's a bit like what Harry said. For me, it's like a lot of people talk about Mikel Arteta and ultimately everything good and everything bad is with the manager. But the players are the ones out there and they've got to smell blood. They've got to like smell the temperature of the football pitch. And it didn't feel like we knew whether to stick or twist. It's like we half kind of just wanted to sit back and just absorb pressure and just get out there with a win. We half kind of went for it. Like even going back to the first half, there was a couple of breaks where I thought, oh, if we score goals here, it kind of opens up. I don't want to downplay Chelsea because I do think they were good tactically. I do think they started the second half brilliantly. I do think it helped us with obviously them going down to 10 men. If I was disappointed, Nick, I would say that it didn't look like 10 against 11, so that's where I understand it. But at this point in the season with 9 games left, it's just about the result, if I'm completely honest, and we managed to do that. Don't get it twisted, though. There are numerous kind of warning signs we need to adhere to and try and put better in other games. So that's what I look at it, man.
Yeah, it's the only thing I worry about is that, you know.
Exactly.
Like, when you've got a team who are there for the taking, you know what I mean? You smell blood, you go for the jugular. And I feel like we didn't really do that. Hindsight, doesn't matter, we got the 3 points. Anyway, let's move away from that. Let's talk about Emmanuel Petit then, Arsenal legend, because he was on TalkSport this morning and he's been talking about the atmosphere at the stadium. And I think we can all agree that there is a nervous atmosphere at the Emirates Stadium. Perry, you've played at the highest level. How does that affect you on the pitch? And does it affect different players differently? You know, what's the kind of psychology behind all of that?
Any player that tells you the way that your home crowd is doesn't affect you is lying. Because it does. I mean, I've been booed personally, like even in the warm-up, when I'm warming up, they're reading names out. You've been over and boo, Perry Grove, boo. I think, all right, give us a chance. I didn't start playing yet, do you know what I mean? So,
what did you do?
But it makes you...
what happened?
No, they'd seen me play the game before. That's what it was. But what it is, it makes you tense. It makes you tenser because footballers are human beings. So if you've got 57,000 and you can feel the desperation, that's what it is for Arsenal fans. It's desperation of those 57,000 fans. By osmosis, that seeps into you. It's the same thing as where you say, when I mentioned about the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, like the atmosphere was unreal. Our players, I know you're in enemy territory, but our players, they sort of think, right, we're the pantomime villains here, and they fed off that. You know what I mean? That energy, they fed off that. So I actually think Petit was being a bit harsh yesterday because the people that I've spoke to at the game, they said that the atmosphere was actually pretty good compared to what it had been before. So I think that the Arsenal fans get it. I think that they can get, if it goes on a bit of a lull, then their positivity and, you know, their sort of shouting can then, like, gee the players up a bit. I've always gone back, when we played Manchester United, I think it was about 18 months, 2 years ago, at home, and Marcus Rashford scored, and Man United went 1-0 up. And normally any home crowd would go, oh, there'd be a... From nowhere it came out, come on, it was a massive roar, and you saw the players go, whoa. And all the fans, what they were telling the players was, don't worry about that. We know that you can do that. We believe in you. And we went on like a different level and we ended up beating them 3-1. And that was the first time at any stadium I've ever been in where I'd heard a crowd roar and cheer after they'd conceded. That's what we've got to get back to. But I don't think that it was nowhere near as tense yesterday as it has been in the Liverpool game and the Man United game.
I've got immense respect for Emmanuel Petit, but unfortunately, and yeah, there is a but, like, I've got immense respect for him. I even had a brief conversation with him yesterday at the game. But he's come there with a preconception of what the atmosphere is going to be, and he's just run with that. Yeah. I'm sorry, because that wasn't the case yesterday. You know, we all went there. There were moments where, as a fan, you can't help it. Your heart is in your mouth. It happens. But generally speaking, I thought the crowd were really good yesterday. They were behind the team, even in the difficult stages. I can think of multiple occasions where Chelsea had a chance or Arsenal missed a chance, and the reaction was, come on, let's go again. So I just feel like, and this is the danger, you know, people talk about the outside noise. The outside noise is coming from every single direction. I mean, I heard Gary Neville on Sky last night talking about the outside noise. He's the biggest culprit in terms of creating that noise. So the goal went in, the second goal from Timber. And before Timber's even made his way to the corner flag to celebrate, he goes, I think there's a foul on the keeper.
He's done that, ooh.
And then...
that little ad-lib he's got.
And then when João Pedro was about a mile offside at the end of the game, before the replay's gone, he's gone, I don't even know if he's offside yet.
Everybody knew in the stadium.
Exactly.
Yeah. Everybody knew watching it on TV that he was a yard and a half offside.
You can see it.
It's a desperation to get ahead of the action, to make it seem like you know more than
like you're the oracle.
And on top of that, it's his bias coming.
Easy to feel like this when you're, you know, an Arsenal supporter. But do you feel like there's this desperation for us not to do it?
100%.
Like, because that's how I feel.
100%.
I feel like that's the story that a lot of people want. They don't want Arsenal to do it because then they can continue this bottle job FC kind of all of that
but we
stuff.
know that though, right? Yeah. We work in the media, right? And we get accused of persecution complex, that you think that everybody's against you and you think, well, actually, no, just listen.
Gaslit.
Like, I'll take the different narratives are, right? Man City go to Leeds and beat them 1-0 and they grind it out. They show professionalism. That's what you do when you win a title. We do it against Chelsea and Arsenal got a little bit lucky, set piece FC. And you go, well, comes they ground it out against a team that is in the bottom six, even though it's a difficult place to go. And we beat them 4-0 there, right? And just swat them aside. We do it and, it's getting a bit... And you go, no, you've got to be balanced. But because we are the Arsenal, everybody wants us not to win one of the big ones because then it can be, the accusation will be, you ain't got the medal. Yeah. You bottled it again. So we've got to try. Even yesterday, we've all said Chelsea were the better team in general play. Chelsea were the better team, created the better chances. Yeah. But I said, I don't care because we've had to find a way to it. And you see Mikel Arteta when he went and shot Liam Rashin's hand, he had a massive...
Yeah, he puffed out his cheeks.
He knew that was a huge result, and he knew that was relief because what he saw with his eyes was
could have went either way.
Wasn't played as well as what we'd like him to play, and now we've got over that because that was going to be all they're going to be tough games. But Chelsea at home, they've only lost 3 games since Liam Rossin has been in charge, and they've all been against us.
Love that.
Well, because also it's brilliant, really. But they again, you want any elite sport, you have psychological advantage, and even they played that well, come off the pitch and they think, actually we played quite well there, and we still haven't won.
We lost again, yeah.
It's
demoralising for them.
Of course it is.
Yeah. And even the celebrations, sorry, Nick, even the celebrations, we go back a previous week when Manchester City beat Newcastle versus when we won the North London derby. We're not allowed to celebrate. Yeah. If we celebrate, we show too much emotion. I know Arsenal fans and football fans can be a bit, over the top, but Arsenal fans are being gaslit. Like, it's that simple, and I'm not having anything other than that. As Harry said, people are coming into their lines of media work or whatnot with preconceived ideas and notions that even if the game don't pan out in that way, they're still going to run that agenda. So we just have to accept it and deal with the outside noise. You go back to when we lost to Brentford many years ago in Brentford's first game in the Prem.
Looking at our fixtures, obviously we only had 2 of the top 6 teams to play, and our running is fairly easy. And you have to say, well, hold on a minute. What about our first 6 fixtures?
Yeah,
exactly. When you looked at them, everybody went, well, Arsenal struggle here. We end up being still top league after those first 6. So people talk about fixtures. You're like, well, no, it just balances itself out over the whole season.
Just back to matters on the pitch, I wanted to ask you guys about David Raya. One of you mentioned it earlier. I forgot who mentioned it. It was Harry, right? So we'll come to you then H, because people often celebrate the back 4, don't they? People talk about the defence, especially in the early part of the season. You know, Saliba, Gabriel getting most of the plaudits, and deservedly so. But David Raya, when called upon, he's had a few dodgy kind of moments this season, but as a goalkeeper, that can happen, especially as a ball-playing goalkeeper. But when he's needed to step up, he stepped up, and yesterday was one of those days.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's 2 games in a row now where he's made massive saves. The save in the North London derby, where it could have gone to 3-2 and it could have become really nervy. And he sort of claws it off the line. Brilliant. I really rated the save from the Garnacho cross shot thing, because I think as a goalkeeper, those must be some of the most difficult situations to deal with, because there's a part of you that like looks at the ball coming and you want to dive based on the direction that the ball's travelling in. But in the back of your mind, there's that thought, what if someone gets a touch and diverts it?
The second
so,
ball,
it causes a hesitation, doesn't it, in the way that you then approach the save. It's a brilliant save. And listen, I said it before, we need players to step up in the moments. And David Raya, I think Mikel Arteta said this after the game yesterday in his press conference. He's one of those goalkeepers that can be on the periphery a lot. Like, I know he's more involved than others in terms of the ball at his feet, which means he does have some involvement. But to go from making very few saves, sometimes none at all, to having to pull out world-class saves, that speaks volumes. And, you know, we see a lot of goalkeepers like sort of lower down the league and people go, they're brilliant goalkeepers, great shot stoppers, high save percentage. That's because they're busy and they're involved all the time. To be able to switch from not being involved to being decisive, I think is really, really
That makes no sense when everybody says about a goalkeeper being a great shot stopper. Do you know what I mean? If you're not a great shot stopper, you shouldn't be in goal.
You're in trouble, yeah.
Because it's like saying a wicketkeeper, I tell you, he can catch all right, can't he? A wicketkeeper. It is, when people say that, you go, all right, yeah, well, that's his job, really.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's it.
Part of the job, I guess. I wanted to ask you, Perry, actually, just about Cole Palmer, because he was playing in a slightly different role in this game. And I don't know if you saw Liam Rossini's interview at the end. He was asked about it. And he basically said, like, I'm not going to tell you, to the reporter that asked him, because, you know, I'm not going to give away our tactical secrets. He seemed to have a lot of space. So what did you make of Cole Palmer in that opening 30 minutes? And what did you make of Arteta's kind of adjustment to shut that down later on in the game?
Well, what it was, I think everybody expected Cole Palmer to be on the right, Fernandes be in the middle and Neto on the left, and they swapped them 2 over. So then Cole Palmer was, basically, he just let him, like they talk about these analytics, he let him drift. He let him just drift in, come off the left, go in the 10, do you know what I mean? So their movement was quite fluid. I think Zubimendi got a little bit in between in the first sort of 25 minutes. But the thing that I would say is, even though Cole Palmer's getting the ball a lot, and as Arsenal fans, you're looking going, well, don't let him get them, because he didn't really have a lot of these like brilliant through balls, or, do you know what I mean? He didn't really create that many chances. So at the elite level, managers do come up with different ways. Like we saw Chelsea in the semi-final second leg, where they left 3 up front from the corners.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're going to come over these different sort of obstacles. But, yeah, even though he was getting on the ball a lot, I don't think he was, I must admit, overly creative.
OK. Well, one of the things I'm seeing a lot this morning is this narrative around Chelsea should have had penalties. I don't know, you guys must have seen this as well, right? Because there was admittedly quite a lot of grappling in the box. But look, if you're going to give those as penalties, there's going to be 10 penalties in every game, in my opinion. Do you think Chelsea deserved a penalty? There's a Declan Rice one off of kind of the shirt line. It was quite close, wasn't it? So what do you think, CJ?
No, man. I mean, it's extremely inconsistent in football. You know, we'll see the exact same incidences in another game and there'll be kind of different realities. We've got to live with it. I don't want to do the woe is me thing, but every Arsenal fan could pull up several fouls and incidences where they've gone against us. You could say don't give the referee a decision to make, in which we might have got away with it against Chelsea, like in the North London derby. But what is all of this about? Like, we keep going back to the semi-finals. We should have had one for Fofana. We found a way to win and control the controllables. You have to kind of expect this. Now, if you want to look at the laws around set pieces and grappling and the kind of blurred lines and the dark arts, every football team is going to try and take advantage of them, as they should. It feels like a lot of people are upset that Arsenal found a way to tweak it. So the bigger questions is probably reviewing the rules if they want that. But like you said, if they do anything around that, every week you're going to kind of see penalties. If the shoe's on the other foot, they're not crying about penalties. If their shoe's on our foot, we want a penalty. That's just how football fans work. But I just think it's taken away from the game in that Arsenal were probably average and we still won. Chelsea actually had a lot of positives and they still lost. Football's decided in both boxes and we've done that.
I thought we were lucky.
We were definitely lucky.
I think Declan Rice runs a penalty.
We're defo jamming.
In modern day game, that comes off his elbow. By the way, it's another brilliant save from David Raya for that one. But you look at that, and you're thinking, I cannot believe that VAR hasn't having a look at that, because I'm not talking about actually his arms around him. I'm talking about because his arm is up. Is that you use it for leverage anyway, but because it's so far away from his body, everybody's looking at it as Arsenal fan thinking, I'll tell you what, if we get away
hearts dropped.
Was that a result?
They make it up as they go along, clearly.
The problem is that the grappling thing, like, I don't actually think Arsenal are as bad with the grappling as people make out.
You know what we do well,
We block well.
What we do, we do, and then we don't. We do it, and then when the ball's been delivered, then we go. So what it is, there's all jostling. If you looked at like Gabriel at the far post, for instance, where Reece James should be stronger, there is like grappling before. But what happens is, as I said about our reputation, the defenders are so front. They actually don't look at the ball. They actually turn around and they look at the defence. Every like club does it, and you're thinking you have no idea where the tricks that ball's.
You don't know where the ball's going to land.
Exactly. So once they've got that, what Gabriel does great. You have that grapple, then he lets go, then he goes inside him, and then when it goes into the 6-yard box, we don't grapple anybody because you've done it before the delivery. So that is all premeditated, and the Timbers goal, everybody's but. Robert Sanchez is 6'6". He looked like Jimmy Cranky, didn't he? Honestly. So and he's coming out and going, and then when you see him run to Darren the referee and go, I've been pushed, every Arsenal fan's like, oh no, please don't let me push. Then you look at it and you think, have a day off, mate. You've just fallen down.
You had free reins at that. You made a mess of it, Sanchez.
I always say with our set pieces, like there's a few things that we do that are just impossible to defend against. Perry touched on it. If you're looking at the man, why do you think all the Arsenal players line up wide of the far post? Because then as a defender, you've got to look at the ball. And if they're running from your blind side, you don't know where they're going. If they're coming inside you, are they going around the back of you? You have no idea. And if you put the ball into a place, more often than not, where a one-touch finish is all it needs, you can bundle it over the line, you're causing chaos. The amount of own goals that go for us, it's not a coincidence. It's because we put the ball in the right areas and we increase the probability of that coming off. But with the grappling stuff, we do it. Everybody does it. I can think of an example yesterday in the second half where Gabriel's on the penalty spot, and as Perry said, Reece James is holding him until the delivery comes, and then he has to let go. The problem is that they've allowed this to pass all season, and you can't now, 9 games from the end of the season, go, all of a sudden we've got to get a lid on this. If they want to review it in the summer, I'm not even against it. Like, it's benefiting us right now, but I'm not against it, because I understand that maybe it's gone a little bit too far, generally speaking. But to make it out as if we're the only club that does it, and we're the only club that pushes the boundary.
Okay, Everton against Man United a few weeks ago.
Exactly.
I think it's obviously because of our success rate from corners. That's why it's being highlighted so much. So I've got some stats. I'm gonna have to read them though because there's so many. Right, it's the 9th time in the Premier League this season that Arsenal have scored a match-winning goal from a corner. Now, the outright most by a team in a single campaign, overtaking Manchester United's 8 in 2012-2013. That's one stat. Another stat for you. Arsenal have gone 1-0 up from a corner on 9 occasions in the Premier League this season, the joint most by a team in a single campaign, along with Southampton in 94-95. So that's throwing it back. Were they still at the Dell back then? And this one here, Arsenal's 16 goals from corners in the Premier League this season is the joint most by any side in a single campaign, alongside Oldham in 92-93. So people are going to chuck you're playing like Southampton, you're playing like Oldham at us probably. But, if we're lifting the trophy at Islington Town Hall at the parade, none of us will give a damn.
Who cares? Yeah.
I would just say, right, like when we did the radio interviews yesterday and we spoke to Liam Rossignol, he was so angry about the way that they defended the set pieces. He said that we'd been working on it all week. And so as a coach, as a manager, when you work on something all week and then you can't deal with it on the pitch, it's very frustrating. That's what he said. So that in itself is indicative of how much value every coach across the division is putting on set pieces right now. Everybody has talented players. Everybody has a big budget in the Premier League. And more often than not, where you've got top-level elite coaches, you can cancel each other out. So you need to find another way to win.
And it's
games.
fine margins, Harry, and everyone. Like, it's the fine margins. But as you said there, 9 times out of 10 in the Premier League, no matter who you play, it's played in the middle, it's congested, there isn't that many chances. So you're doing the right things, trying to take advantage of dead balls and set plays. We see it every week, and it's going to continue. That's just the cycle of where football is at this moment in time.
You know what it is? I think Nicolas Jaubert, he's got a little statue waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming out. But the thing is as well is, you can work defending set pieces in training. We used to do it a lot, like attacking into it, right? And then you go, your positioning is good, you've attacked the ball great, right? You get into a game, right, where the delivery is on a different level, and also you've got the nervousness because you know what's coming. that is completely different. I know Rossini says we worked on it, which they have to do, but then you put them into a game and then panic sets in.
Can't replicate it.
And that's exactly what happens. And if no one's had a go at Brentford because of Coyote's long throws have come back on vogue, which is brilliant. And I've said before, if you're a fan, there was a period of time when corners were quite boring, where corners are, we go and take a short corner, we'll try and change the angle, we'll come back out, right?